Welcome back everyone to another video. In this video I'm going to quickly review our different angle theorems that we've gone through and kind of add a little bit to them, as well as show us the consequences of that. What's the result? What can we do with these now that we know these solutions? So let's go through with it. First, I'm going to draw a set of parallel lines here to kind of show the alternate interior angle theorem. Here we've got one set of parallel lines, another set of parallel lines. Okay, then we draw that transversal going through them. So we got a transversal there. Now alternate interior angles would be like this, angle 1 and angle 2. Okay, and this is our alternate interior angle theorem. If our lines are parallel, let me pick out a different color there. If my lines are parallel, then I know that those alternate interior angles are congruent. We proved this before. We're just going to state it now. So to visually kind of think about it, we could just do if parallel, then congruent. Okay? If parallel, then congruent. Okay? But we're going to be able to write it down as well. So if you come on over here, we would say that same statement. If two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then then the alternate interior angles are congruent. Okay, a short and quick way to say this would be like this. If parallel, then AIA are congruent. Okay, so that's an easy way to use that statement. It's the alternate interior angles theorem. If we've got parallel lines, then the alternate interior angles are congruent. Now let's go through the corresponding angles theorem. It's a very similar theorem. And we're going to go through and state it right now. Once again, you want another set of parallel lines. Hey, look at that. Right up here, I got a pair. So I'm just going to copy this. It's a little known rule. You can just take your pencil and copy something by circling it. So if you're having trouble copying something, go ahead and do that. So we want our corresponding angles. So for this one, I've got angle 1 there, and I want angle 2. So those are our corresponding angles. Okay? Now, if our lines are parallel, let me go ahead and draw that. Let's use a different color this time. If parallel, okay, then this is congruent to this. If we have parallel lines, then corresponding angles are congruent. See, those if-then statements are very useful in geometry, being able to build proofs or state proofs. So we always want to make sure we do that. So let's go over here and write it. Okay. And let me state that real quick. If we have parallel lines, and I'm going to shorten this up. This is one thing we can do. Parallel lines cut by a transversal, then corresponding angles are congruent. Now notice how originally we've been writing down the full statements, but as we've been going on, I've been kind of shortening them out. because as we understand things, we're able to shorten them out. But we can't do that before we understand them. Then we're just going to get confused. So we want to make sure we understand what we're talking about first. All right. Once again, we want to do a shorter way to state this, and it goes simply like this. If parallel, then corresponding angles are congruent. Okay? So just a shorter way to state it. Finally, we've got the alternate exterior angle theorem. Once again, I'm just going to copy the one up above. It's so much easier. Duplicate that. Oh, let me try this again. Duplicate that, bring it down here. Now, I've got to make a few changes, again, because we're not talking about alternate interior angles. Let's go to some alternate exterior angles. So here I'm going to use a different color. Let's go with 1 and 2 there. And these two will be congruent as well. So if we have parallel lines, then the alternate exterior angles are congruent. Okay, so let's go ahead and write out this statement. This time I'm going to type it up. Okay, let's see if I can pull up the typing instrument here. There we go. And if we have PLCT, parallel lines, cut by a transversal, then alternate interior, or exterior this time, angles are congruent. Okay, so that's our statement there. And finally, let's write it in our more simple form. If parallel, then parallel should go about the same length. If two lines are parallel, then alternate exterior angles are congruent. Okay? All right, this so ends our dive into the original statements. So just to summarize the ones that we have, we've got the vertical angles theorem, we've got the linear pair postulate, those are both very useful. Then we have the same side interior angles postulate. Finally, that allows us to prove the alternate interior angles theorem. If we got parallel lines, alternate interior angles are congruent. Oh, and our same side interior angles is if we have parallel lines, then these angles are supplementary. They add to 180. Okay? Finally, we have the corresponding angles. If we've got that, then we have congruent corresponding angles. If we have parallel lines, then alternate interior angles are congruent. With that said, that's going to bring this video to a close. It's just a quick summary of each of our statements and, again, how we can start to shorten them up.